All right, today we're going to be continuing with our multiplication and we're going to be learning the add a group strategy. So today we're going to learn how to derive our times 3 multiplication facts using our times 2 facts, as well as learning how to derive our times 6 facts using the times 5 facts. You'll know you're successful when you don't have to skip count and you can find your 3 and 6 facts using friendly facts. Okay, so we're going to be looking at multiplication in two different ways because everybody sees things differently. So we can look at multiplication in terms of equal groups. Okay, some examples in the lesson will be shown using equal groups inside of the tens frame, and others will be shown in an array. So this is an example of a tens frame. Remember, it has 5 groups or boxes on the top row and 5 on the bottom. And then an array is another way we can represent multiplication. So an array is a way to arrange objects into rows and columns. And remember, rows go side to side and columns go up and down. Okay, you can see here there are three rows that go across with 4 columns going down, or 4 in each row. Okay, so we're going to be looking at both arrays and equal groups today. So whichever strategy or way to visualize it makes the most sense to you, use it. Okay, all right, so our first example today for adding the group strategy is 3 times 7. So what does 3 times 7 mean? What would it look like in an array? Take a moment to visualize that. Did yours look something like this? 3 rows and 7 columns? That's what mine looked like in my mind. So 3 rows and 7 columns. Okay, great. So this array shows what 3 times 7 would look like. But now how do I figure out what 3 times 7 is equal to, of how many boxes are in total? Well, we don't want to count. That's going to take way too long. So we're going to be thinking about a strategy. So let's look at this array. What do you notice about this 3 times 7 array? So I want you to pause the video and answer the question, what do you notice about this 3 times 7 array? What did I do to it? What's different? Pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. What did you notice? Hopefully you noticed something like we still had the 7 in each row, but I broke the array apart. Some of it's orange and some of it's blue. And I see on the above the yellow line, I see 2 rows of 7, or 7 doubled. So I know there are 14 there. And then below the line, I see 1 row. So I broke my 3 rows into 2 rows and 1 row. Well, those are both facts I know. I know 2 rows of 7 is 14, and I know 1 row of 7 is just 7. So altogether, if there are 14 orange blocks and 7 blue blocks, there must be 21 blocks in all in my array. And let's look at that. So here it is, kind of broken out of what I noticed about this, is that I took my 3 rows, and I broke them apart so that I have 2 rows of 7, and then I added on 1 more row. Well, I know 2 rows of 7, that's a doubles fact. 7 and 7, or 2 times 7 is 14. And then adding 1 more row to make 3 rows in all gave me another 7. So 2 rows of 7 plus 1 row of 7 gives me 3 rows of 7, which would be 21. Okay, so that is how we can do our threes facts. When you're thinking about your threes facts, you want to think about certain facts. Why do you think I broke my 3 into 2 and 1? What would be special about that? Pause the video now to answer that question. Why did I break 3 into 2 and 1? Welcome back. Hopefully you said something along the lines of, well, I know my 2's facts and I know my 1's facts. So I can easily break 3 into my 2's facts and my 1's facts, and those are easy to multiply. Okay, so anytime you're dealing with something that has a 3 in the problem, you can think about breaking or decomposing the 3 into the 2 fact and the 1 fact. Okay, so you're trying to find friendly facts. 2's facts are friendly, 1's facts are friendly. All right, let's look at another example. 6 times 8. So we're going to use an array one more time. So I want you to think about, what does 6 times 8 mean? What would it look like? Pause the video to visualize that now. All right, so here's what I visualized. I visualized 6 rows and 8 columns, or 8 in each row. But I don't know how many blocks are there in all. That's too many to count. That will take me forever. So what friendly facts do you think I could break this into? So 6 times 8, there's your hint there that my 6 is underlined and bolded, and that was part of our learning objective. So what friendly facts do you think we could break this into? Pause the video now to think about where you might break this array apart and change your colors. All right, welcome back. Let's see if you were thinking the same way I was thinking. I know I needed to break it into friendly facts, and I needed to use 2 different colors, just like I did on the last example. So I broke mine like this. What do you notice about this 6 times 8 array? What friendly facts do you see in this array? So I want you to pause the video and answer the question, what do you notice about this 6 times 8 array? And what friendly facts do you see here? Pause the video now. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you notice that this array is the same size. It still has the 8 units as columns, so 8 columns still, and it still has 6 rows. But what's a little bit different is the 6 rows are broken into 5 rows and 1 more row. So I have 5 rows and I added 1 more at the bottom. 5 and 1 makes 6. Okay, why do you think I chose 5 and 1 to break this apart into? Well, yeah, 5's facts are easy, 1's facts are easy. So those are friendly facts that I can use to help me solve 6 times 8. So let's take a look at this, shall we? So first of all, I broke my 6 rows apart with this yellow line. I broke it into 5 rows on top, and of course the number in each row doesn't change at all. So the top part has 5 rows with 8 in each, 5 rows of 8. I know that 5 times 8 is 40. Well then, that's not 6 times 8 though, that's only 5 times 8. So what do I need to do? I have 1 more row of 8. And in that row of 8 are 8 blocks. So I have my 5 rows of 8 that I'm going to add with 1 more row of 8. So I'm adding a group of 8. So 5 rows and 1 more row makes 6 rows. So I'm going to add all the blocks that are orange, the 5 times 8, and that makes 40 blocks. And then I'm going to add that to the 1 more row that I added, which is 8 more blocks. So I get a total of 48. So 6 times 8 is 48. We're going to take the 6 fact I don't know my 6 facts, but I do know my 5's facts. And then I'm going to add one more group or one more row. All right, we're going to look at, we have time for one more example here. 6 times 7. And this one we're going to look at in terms of equal groups. Okay, so those of you who maybe are having a hard time seeing it in the array, maybe the equal groups will make a little bit more sense or visually connect with you. So what would 6 times 7 look like in terms of equal groups? Okay, so I'm going to show you what I started with. Okay, so I know that I don't know 6 times 7. So I'm going to start with I'm going to take my 6, and I'm not going to solve 6 times 7 because I don't know 6 times 7. But 6 is close to 5. So I'm going to start with 5 times 7. 5 times 7 I know is 35. Okay, so now I'm at 5 times 7. I want to get to 6 times 7. So what do I need to do? Pause the video. What do you think we need to do next? What comes next? All right, welcome back. If you said add a group, you are correct. So you notice here, here's my 5 groups of 7. Here's what 6 groups of 7 look like. So I added one more group. So when I go to actually solve this, I know 5 times 7 is 35. That gives me the top row. But I have one more on the bottom, one more group on the bottom row. So I needed to add 7 more dots. So 6 times 7 is 35 plus 7 more, which is 42. And let's take a look at that. We started with 5 groups of 7. That was my top row. We added one more group because 5 groups and 1 group gave us 6 groups. I know 5 times 7, that's a friendly fact. 5 times 7 is 35. And 1 times 7, that's a friendly fact too. That gives me 7. So when I put that all together, 5 groups of 7 and 1 group of 7, I get a total of 6 groups of 7, which is 35 plus 7 more is 42. Okay, so you can, whenever you have a 6, that's not friendly. Break it apart into friendly facts that you know, boom, 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 boom. I know my 5's facts, so I would break my 6 into a 5, the 5 fact and the 1 fact. All right, so let's summarize because we're about out of time. To summarize, when you're faced with a fact that's times 3 or times 6, don't fret because both of those facts are close to friendly numbers. 3 is close to 2 and 6 is close to 5. So you can, when you have a 3 times fact or a number times 3, multiply by 2 instead of 3, and then add one group. What if I have a times 6 fact or a 6 times a number fact? Well, 6 aren't friendly, but you know what 6 is close to? 6 is close to 5. So multiply by 5 instead, and then add one more group. So this is the adding a group strategy.